grocery store named Southwest Florida. And it's called Food and Thought.
We are with Frank Oakes, the owner of Food and Thought. Something that I find very unique about your store is that you are growing your own organic fruits and vegetables. Why did you do that?
Well, that's what led me to the store. Is I became converted from a conventional, so-called conventional farmer to an organic farmer back in '89 and '90, and soon found that it was pretty difficult to market my food. I was a little ahead of the curve as far as organic produce was concerned, and I realized, as all farmers are learning, they need to get closer to the consumer with their product. There's way too many middlemen and packaging men. The average dollar spent by a consumer for produce, 23 cents gets back to the farm, and 77 cents gets distributed between the farmer and the consumer. So I'm trying to connect directly with the consumer, and on our farm we're growing all open pollinated and heirloom produce, which also sets us apart, and our customers appreciate it. You can't beat fresh, and we have open houses at the farm so people feel connected to the food they're eating.
One of the things that I love when I come here is there's many choices of vegetables, but as you said, they're very fresh, and that's one of the things I love. You can tell they have been picked that day.
We're very proud of that, and you can't get it fresher. The arugula, we're just starting this year. The radishes and arugula 2 hours ago were in the ground. You know, you can't find that at most supermarkets for sure.
No, you can't, and I think that Food and Thought stands for a good example for other stores wherein really a trend is now to eat foods that are produced from your local region. So I really feel, yes, you're ahead of your time, but I think that you're going to be an exemplary role model for what's in our future.
We hope so.
We thank you.
Thank you.
This is the arugula picked 2 hours ago.
As you can see, the produce is amazing. It's very fresh, farm picked, just within a few hours. It's one of the most amazing stores we've been in. I'd like to introduce you to Michael, who is the manager and the head buyer for the Food and Thought. Hi, Michael.
Hi, how you doing?
Great, thank you. Michael, I'd like to ask you, how is it that so many of the customers for Food and Thought keep coming back for Eat Relive and Brain On?
When they come into the store, a lot of times I'll hear about specific conditions, and when I hear that, I usually like to steer them towards a food, which is what E3 Live is.
Found right here in your freezer section.
Yeah, at our store we like to emphasize that we actually are a grocery store rather than a health food store, because we do feel that the foundation for a person's health begins with the food they eat and not just taking a bunch of supplements. So usually if I hear that people have these issues, I like to steer them towards this first, because I first learned about it when I went to the Hippocrates Health Institute in West Palm Beach. Brian Clement introduced me to it, and I find that there's a lot of repeat customers because the product works for them. Usually what I end up doing is I tell them a little bit about the background of the product, where it's grown in Oregon, and the conditions in Oregon that make this such a special algae known throughout the world. About the fact that there's a volcanic ash lake, about the fact that there's a lot of sunshine there in that part of Oregon that makes a photosynthesis process that makes it very mineral and vitamin rich. It gives it a very soft shell, so it's very bioavailable and easily absorbed into the body. Also that it's very high in protein, very high in absorbable protein, has a lot of chlorophyll, and just all the other things that make it unique. And I also like to tell them about the proprietary extracts, the PEA and the phycocyanin that are in it, that make it, that really give it its the things that make it work. But as I was saying, the when people come in with those issues that I mentioned earlier, especially the mood and the depression and the lack of focus, the lack of concentration, the lack of energy, I explain to them why E3 Live will be beneficial for them. And as I'm sure you obviously know that there's a certain segment of the population that when they take it, they'll notice an immediate difference. And I do find that people do want to feel a difference when they take their supplements. And I have quite a good return rate of people that come back and say, like, when I took that, I really felt it. I think some of the reasons that I personally like to promote it is the fact that it is considered nature's first food. It actually was, what made plant life possible, created the oxygen and made plant life possible on this earth. And the fact that it is, unspoiled, unhybridized, it's a very ancient source of nutrition. I also like the fact that Brian Clement points out that it's very foundational in our genetic evolution because it was the first food that was on this planet. So, but I find especially for people that have mood and focus and concentration issues, that those are the people that notice the most difference from it. We have the dry, obviously, but I always take people to the frozen because that's how it comes off the lake. It's in a liquid form, and I think it's kind of neat. They're not used to taking supplements that are in a liquid form that are frozen, so it's kind of a fun thing for them to kind of come in and get involved in that process. And I just noticed, this is really our only quote-unquote supplement food item that we have in the freezer, so it makes it unique as well for that reason. So I could say a lot more about it, but I think you've done a pretty good job in your advertising and talking about all the benefits of it. So,
well, you're obviously an excellent student. You
Yeah.
covered it all. All right, Michael, thank you so much for all that you do for E3 Live and for helping to spread better health to the world.
yeah, thank you. We're very honored to carry it in our store, and I'm always pleased to introduce people to it.
Thank you.